In the bustling city of Oak Ridge, there lived a young man named Mark. Mark was adventurous and loved exploring new things. But he had a challenge. He found himself in a situation called debt. Debt was like owing money to others, and Mark felt weighed down by it. He realized he needed to find a way to overcome it and build a better future. One day, Mark heard about a workshop at the local library that talked about managing money and getting out of debt. He decided to attend and see if he could learn something helpful. At the workshop, Mark met a kind woman named Mrs. Johnson. Mrs. Johnson had been through challenges herself and wanted to help others like Mark. She saw his determination and offered to guide him on his journey to financial freedom. Mrs. Johnson explained to Mark about something called a debt repayment plan. It was like making a map to pay off his debt step by step. Mark listened carefully as she showed him how to prioritize his debts and make a plan to tackle them. Mark also learned about budgeting. Mrs. Johnson compared it to making sure his money had a job and didn't wander off. Mark realized that if he knew where his money was going, he could save more and put extra towards paying off his debt. As days passed, Mark and Mrs. Johnson worked on his plan. Mark found ways to cut back on unnecessary spending and put more money towards his debts. He felt a sense of accomplishment as he saw his debts slowly going down. Mrs. Johnson also talked to Mark about credit scores. She explained that credit scores were like report cards for how good he was at managing money. Mark learned that taking care of his finances could help improve his credit score over time. With Mrs. Johnson's guidance, Mark's journey to financial recovery continued. He faced challenges along the way, but he never gave up. He knew that he was working towards a brighter future. One day, as Mark looked at his reduced debts and improving credit score, he felt proud. He realized that he was rebuilding his financial life step by step. He thanked Mrs. Johnson for her help and knew that he was on the path to a better tomorrow.